down, when you get to our age, you should be having a conversation about how long do I want to work? How long do you want to work? Where do we want to live? What's our situation? Are we going to have kids out of the house? Will we still have bills? What's our mortgage? How much can we afford to live on? Do we want to live in a certain area? You start having those conversations and you can piece together, and you might say, well, I'm going to retire at 65. You might say, I'm going to work for another couple of years after that. So you can decide, and then there's a little bit, that doesn't mean it has to be the way it is, right, but there's some alignment there. So that's kind of those two just pieces, like your kids, and have that conversation.
Be prepared. Can I just, before you go on,
absolutely.
I just think that was like a mic drop, words of wisdom there that I don't want to just jump over too quickly, because if you are listening to this and you're looking at where you are so far and wish you had done things differently, or you're in a tight spot, or you're thinking, man, I want better for my kids, I hope you heard those words was, and Lynn and I have said this before, that our kids watch everything that we do and learn from us. So if you want different for them, humble yourself enough to find someone that that can talk to them and speak that to them, because unfortunately they're not learning that stuff, certainly in high school, and probably not even college necessarily. They have to learn it somewhere. So break that cycle.
Yeah.
Break that cycle.
I mean,
set them up right.
Well, it's interesting. We had a friend, this story. When I tell you, you'll know the person I'm talking about. We had a family friend. He's a part-time in the military, and he has a pattern of every time that he sees somebody that has a military uniform on, he says, "Thank you for your service." Yeah. Every time. He does it such a pattern that all of the kids that are friends with his kids learn that. Our kids were friends with his kids. Our oldest son, every time he sees somebody, he still does it to this day. "Thank you for your service." It's like that. It's because he saw it, and it wasn't. If I had done it, maybe he would have done it. But he saw it from another adult that was actually, and so he saw that as like a normal. It's not like, oh, well, my parents told me to do it. He saw it from another adult that he respected. Then that behavior was built into him, and so I'm pretty convinced that he has such a deep respect for our veterans, that because of the influence. So now jump to financial. Yeah. Right? Financial is the same thing. Like if he gets that message. So the things that in terms of investing and trying to maximize our returns, and so a couple things that come to mind. One is don't think that because you read a book like Investing for Dummies or something, that you are somehow capable to make investments in things that you don't understand, right? So what I would say is, if you're a competent investor, meaning you've put money in mutual funds, you're in your 401k, you're saying, I understand all of that, and you start to think about, I want to stretch myself, I want to get in, I want to buy an invest, I want to buy a piece of real estate and rent it and create. So there's different ways. I think that there's a couple things to think about. One is, be careful investing in something that you don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Or love, or have a passion for.
That's a really good point. Something that you don't understand, or something that you can at least tolerate being around, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to invest in buying some apartments to rent, but you really don't want to deal with tenants, and you don't want to, so you have to get a management company that changes the financial. You just need to think about, like, maybe real estate's not for me. Right. So that's one. That's kind of one. So that applies to things like crypto. That applies to things like day trading. Do not invest in things that you have no idea how they work. You don't understand the risk. You don't understand the market forces that change the things. And a lot of people, one of the most common questions that people had over the last 5 years, and you guys know this to be true because I've been with you at events where people have asked this question. Because Bitcoin was this rage, everybody said, how do I learn more so I can make money on Bitcoin? People just think it's like, it must be just, somebody made money on Bitcoin. All these people are buying these big houses in Puerto Rico. I'm going to basically do it. And they have no idea. And then they invest in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin crashed. Now it's back up again, but it might crash again. And people go, wow, I just lost all my money and I didn't know what I was doing. So I think the chasing aspect of it, like, I'm trying to chase money, I'm trying to chase something, I look at something else. Don't do it if you don't understand it.
And I think in that case, like, they're they're seeing the outcome and they abdicate the responsibility to someone else who understands it. And that's a risk that's probably too risky for most of us, right?
Yeah.
Especially like you said, if it's not something you love, if it's not something you know about,
right,
or you're passionate about.
Right.
If you want to go into investing in car washes, but you don't you don't care at all about car washes, then you're stuck in this business you don't care about, you don't love. And we talk about this all the time. We only have a short amount of time. Our time is finite.
Right.
So.
Right. I think the example that I was thinking about is if we saw this announcement on like in the newspaper or on the internet that said, Dr. Lynn won $100 million on the lottery. Most people would not go out and say, all right, I'm changing everything. I'm buying lottery tickets because I saw this person that won 100 million. We all know enough to say, like, that's not really yes, might I buy $1 Powerball? I'm not going to go and like take all my money that I've invested in Vanguard and go, we know that because we kind of know like the lottery isn't built for me to make money. So that we would laugh at that, like, but if you jump over to like saying, I'm going to buy Bitcoin, people would say, oh, it's going to be great. I'm going to make so much money. I'm going to actually borrow money to buy more Bitcoin, which is like, so I think that understand what you're investing in, make sure it's something that you like or at least can tolerate if it's some type of a business. And if you like it, if you're passionate about it, if you understand it, you understand the risks. The big disconnect there, I think, Brooke, is that that people try to chase, especially when they're behind. When they're 50 years old and they haven't saved enough, they think I have to work harder to stretch. I have to, like, I'm pressured. And then they get into things they don't understand and they're even worse off.
And they're just following what other people are doing.
Yeah.
They're following a crowd without really knowing what it took to get to that place.
It's tricky.
Right. Or following a crowd, or there's a lot of people out there trying to kind of dope you into something, right? Like they're like trying to say like, oh, I have this great thing. Look at this. And they send you and you look at it, go, wow, that really makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Like if I give them $50,000, I'm going to be like a millionaire. They don't, that's, so it's just, it's the chasing.
True, it probably is.
Yes, exactly. And if you don't understand it, it doesn't matter if it's good or not. If you don't understand it, you don't even understand the risk you're taking.
Right.
So I would say don't chase. You're much better off to get to 75% of your goal with a high level of predictability than to try to shoot for getting to 150% of your goal and ending up at zero.
Because when it comes to happiness and healthy happiness and fulfillment, then you're going to have that sense of security and you're going to be able to sleep at night as well, right?
Absolutely.
That's a good place to